Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of Lunacy with Colleen Marie. That's me. We're going to take a deep dive into the astrological forecast for the week ahead. And this week, we're seeing a lot of the major themes of 2021 coming to a place of just coming to the forefront. One of the biggest aspects astrologically of all of 2021 is the juxtaposition between the planet of Saturn and Uranus. And they're actually in a square for most of 2021, but especially it's very tight square right now, and this past week, and this week as well. What this symbolizes, this Saturn Uranus juxtaposition, is really all about convention versus individuality and freedom. It's about responsibility versus, authenticity. These things we're seeing over and over and over again. And it can even be brought down to something a little bit more tangible. So, a few days ago, we saw the Surfside apartment complex suddenly, you know, collapse and come to the ground. Now, the apartment complex is a structure, much like the planet Saturn is concerned with things like structures. And then we of course have the sudden debilitating and devastating collapse of that structure. And that's where we're seeing in the global, what's brought to our consciousness, this back and forth between structure and, sudden shifts. And that is Saturn and Uranus and interplay. What we also saw is, Bill Cosby suddenly being released from jail without really any warning. Again, the jail and the court system is Saturn. That's convention and structure. And then Uranus is this sudden breaking free, not necessarily for the greater good always, but that sudden, oh, there was a technicality, it was completely unforeseen, it just came out of nowhere. So we see it with that. We also see it with the Britney Spears case that's, in the media right now. Britney Spears was beholden to the courts, to her father, which is a very Saturn energy. And then we see her trying to break free and trying to own her authenticity and speak up about what she needs. And we're seeing that like conflict head on happening right now. Part of the reason why we're seeing this today and this week is the fact that the planet Mars is coming in to kind of add more energy to this square. Mars is opposite Saturn and square to Uranus, which is bringing in what's called a T square aspect. If you have a T square in your natal chart, it means that there is natural intensity to your life. And the fact that we're bringing in some intense planets, Mars, Uranus, Saturn, means that this is even more prevalent. It's even more at the forefront. Now, of course, when we bring in Mars, it adds a level of, intensity, almost some aggression, maybe some anger. All of that is part of what we're experiencing collectively and in our personal lives right now. And the way that we can kind of break this tension and get out of this like triangle of square and opposition and conflict is to find that missing piece. And in the case of this week, the missing piece really lies in the sign of Scorpio. Scorpio is a water sign, and it is also a sign of deep dives into what is really going on behind the scenes. So, one of the things that we need to connect with in order to, if you're feeling any of these tensions in your own life, is to look deeply at what our own motives might be beyond what's obvious. What are some of the repressed feelings and emotions and experiences that we've been through, these memories, things that we maybe aren't always, too quick to talk about, but nonetheless have an effect on us every day? That's where we need to go as a culture and as individuals over the course of the next few days in order to kind of bring some peace to this difficult balance we're living through right now. So again, if we're feeling this tension, remember that it's not all bad. It also brings in passion for life, and excitement, a sense of purpose and feeling driven and focused on something, even if it's not always the most positive thing. So all of that is coming up right now. We need to be willing to kind of sit with that, look at our deep emotions, look at what's coming up for us in the midst of all of this, and make sure that our goals are honoring our emotions. They're not just about what we want to look like to the outside world, but what do we really need authentically for ourselves, for our emotions? So that's really important right now, too. So, we're going to talk about that a little bit throughout today. This is a really big aspect, and we even get the moon coming in, we get Venus coming in this week. So, everything's kind of plugging into this major aspect of 2021, which is this juxtaposition between structure and freedom. But first and foremost, let's talk about the moon, because that's what lunacy is all about, right? So today, the moon is in the independent sign of Aries, and you might feel like a little bit combative when it comes to your emotions. You really are right now, you're probably wanting some freedom and some space in your relationships. So that's important for today. The other thing is we're in the third quarter of the moon, which means we just had the full moon a couple weeks ago. We're heading towards the new moon in Cancer at the end of next week. So what we're experiencing is a shift, and the themes right now revolve a lot around career versus family. Our full moon was in the sign of Capricorn, which is all about our, careers, our social standing. And the new moon is going to be in Cancer on the 9th, which is all about family. So learning this kind of integration of what we've learned throughout this lunar cycle and how we can balance it with more consideration to our emotional life and our families. So that's going to be a big theme as you move forward through this week as well. Today, the moon happens to be sextile the planet of Mercury, which simply means that this is a good time to write and think and talk about our emotions. We're going to be more receptive to other people's ability to communicate their emotions, and then others are going to also be more, open to our emotional expression. So this is just a really good time to, have some potential breakthroughs in communication, especially with those we love, with those we have like deep-seated emotions with. This is a good time to, open up to those breakthroughs, talk about stuff that maybe you haven't talked about with that person. Today would be a great day for that. Tomorrow, we see the moon move into the sign of Taurus. And this is when we help to kind of balance out that Aries intensity. We're going to feel a little bit more chill emotionally on Saturday the 3rd and Sunday the 4th, this holiday weekend. And I don't know, those of you who are in New England, this weather is not exactly very, it's not very festive. So it kind of works. This is a good time to cuddle in the rain while it's raining outside, to cuddle at home, read a book, have some downtime and just kind of chill out emotionally. and veg out. So the other thing is the moon is sextile to the planet of Jupiter, the bringer of gifts and luck. And the good thing about this is it brings this kind of sense of renewed happiness and well-being emotionally, feeling emotionally abundant, and having this natural sense of kindness and generosity for yourself and from others. So that's a really important thing that's happening on Saturday. Just this kind of feeling happy at home, feeling part of a community, and part of your family, and all of that is really at the forefront on Saturday, tomorrow. Then we see, of course, the continuation of this Mars, Saturn, Uranus T square. And this brings with it too, one thing I hadn't mentioned yet is like kind of an ability to hold the tension and to face problems and to be comfortable with uncertainty until a solution presents itself. So I really hope that, as we move through this, we start to see the strengths of this difficult T square, not only the challenges, but that is all on a very personal level and depends a lot on what you're doing with your chart and how you're progressing as an individual and as a spiritual person. So on Sunday, July 4th, we see the sun coming into this T square because it conjuncts with Uranus. So here we see some repressed feelings coming to the surface, and it brings in the emotional aspect to the T square that we saw. So maybe stepping back before we act, learning to we're craving freedom and independence and spontaneity, but we also want integrity and responsibility in our emotional relationships with others. So this is, I know I've been in my marriage talking a lot about the issues, wanting both integrity and wanting some spontaneity and freedom and fun. So both of those things are really important for all of us right now. You also might be experiencing some unexpected emotional awakenings, sudden shifts in how we perceive what it is to be in that relationship, and those are powerful. It's a big week. What we're seeing on Sunday also is that Venus comes into the picture as it comes to a conjunction with Mars, and conjunction just means they're on top of each other in the sky. So this brings in the social and romantic piece. So we might be feeling maybe really overly, social and emotional and really wanting to connect with other people. So if you maybe already committed to several parties on Sunday, makes sense, right? Because that's this time for us where we kind of want to take it all in at once. But you might find that you're not successful in making it to all the parties because Saturn's involved and Saturn gets in the way. The other thing is we're really in a place of wanting to, again, find that integrity in our relationships. And I loved this when I came across it. Also, guys, this is one of the books that I recommend for a lot of the work that I do. It's called The Archetypal Universe by Ren Butler. So one of the things he wrote about this kind of collection of planets is to facing the inner pain brings healing breakthroughs in relationships. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm definitely feeling this right now, and I'd love to hear if that resonates for you. And that is particularly strong on the 4th, but this entire week. So take a look at your relationships. How are they growing? How are they shifting? Are they more in integrity than they were before? And how have you had to kind of break out of old patterns in order to get them there? Then on Monday, the 5th, we see the moon moving into the chatty and busybody sign of Gemini. Now, Gemini rules things like communication and short travel and, sibling relationships. All of those will probably be at the forefront for us on Monday. Feeling a little bit more quick-witted, a little bit more conscious of what's going on around us in the day-to-day. Our mind just feels a little bit more quick on Monday. But the other thing that's happening is the moon is trine the planet Pluto, which is a really positive aspect. It just can be a little intense. Pluto wants to dig deep and bring everything that we don't want to look at to the surface so that it can be healed and integrated. It is the planet of shadow work. It is the planet of transformative work with our repressed side, the suppressed emotions, the things we don't want to talk about. And the beautiful thing is that it is in a trine aspect with the moon, which means that's a pretty positive aspect. It's not going to be super challenging. So, this again is a great time to talk about deep things with our friends and loved ones. It's also a really good time to do that emotional catharsis shadow work to get over whatever it is that's holding us back and face the truth of what really matters to us. It wants to just kind of soak life up. And, ultimately, both Pluto and the moon will be in earth signs at the time that they come into trine. So before the moon moves into Gemini, when it's still in Taurus, is when we'll be feeling this connection between the moon and Pluto, and Pluto is in Capricorn. So these are really earth-based awareness. They're both earth signs. We're really focused on career and home and family and having transformational experiences within those realms are really important right now. This is a time of renewal, and it's kind of like a thunderstorm, right? It brings things up. It can be scary in the moment, but it washes things clean. The air feels so much more clear afterwards. This is also, whenever we see the moon and Pluto in a positive relationship, it shows us that we are capable and others are capable around us of standing in the fire during a crisis and dealing with it with a level head, with kindness, with compassion. All of that is really important. And if you do face any type of, if you are in the middle of some kind of crisis, you're going to find that you feel that strength on Monday to handle what needs to be handled. And it's probably a big day of breakthrough for many of us. The other thing that's happening too is that the sun will be in sextile with Uranus, which brings in more of these unexpected breakthroughs and transformations. And this sense of renewed freedom and creative self-expression. You're going to probably be feeling free-spirited and exuberant and enthusiastic, and potentially, bring in some strokes of genius and things that you just didn't think these types of breakthroughs that come out of nowhere and awaken you to what's possible in your life moving forward. Tuesday, July 6th, we see Mercury in a square with Neptune. This can be a tough one. A square aspect always brings in some conflict, and Mercury and Neptune naturally don't really get along. Mercury wants to think of things rationally, Neptune wants to think of things idealistically. So what we might find in its best expression, if you're willing to really work with this energy, is some beautiful potential daydream scenarios. There's a potential for connection with our intuition, with our psychic ability, with our ability to communicate with spirit, to communicate with, the greater consciousness. All of that is very possible. But of course, with a square, what we might find ourselves focused on is the negative side of this connection, which brings in some confusion and forgetfulness, maybe some misunderstanding, some uncertainty, and really focusing on what we want things to look like rather than what they truly are showing up as. So that's a really important thing to focus on, is being level-headed on Monday the 6th. Just if you're making any decisions on Monday that require a little bit extra attention to detail, you may want to look over everything before Monday, before making that decision, or put the decision off for a day or two. Mercury moves really quickly, so this connection isn't going to be at the forefront for very long. So really just Monday the 6th is a good day. Tuesday the 6th is a good day to put off these big decisions that require a lot of attention to detail, because it just most likely will not be there for us. On Wednesday the 7th, we see the moon comes becomes conjunct with both Mercury and square to Neptune. So it kind of plugs into this existing structure that I'm talking about. So it brings in the emotional side. So here we're experiencing mental and emotional serenity and intuition, and as well as compassionate listening and speaking. But again, watch out for wishful thinking, spaced out impracticality, and idealizing memories of the past, feeling being very impressionable to other people's energies. So that's what Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday are really going to bring in. Wednesday, especially, as well as Thursday, are part of these dark moon days that we experience every month right before the new moon. And this really, the moon on Thursday is going to move into the very emotional sign of Cancer as it gets ready for the new moon in Cancer on the 9th. So again, the emotional focus is going to be at the forefront on Thursday. We do have a beautiful trine to Jupiter, so it'll lighten things up a little bit, bring in some positivity, some optimism, some, again, similar to Saturday's sextile to Jupiter, the moon is also going to bring in some positive emotional abundance on Thursday. But it is, again, the day before the new moon. And I think it's just so important that we co-create with the energy of Mother Nature, of the moon. And as we head into this very important new moon, what we're going to be feeling is maybe some nostalgia, maybe feeling very reflective, thinking about everything that we've learned in the previous lunar cycle. The previous lunar cycle started on June 10th and, hit its full moon expression in Capricorn, and now we're heading into the dark moon days. And what we're going to experience in this next lunar cycle will most likely be around themes of emotional breakthroughs and authentic self-expression. The full moon will be in the sign of Aquarius on the 21st of July, and we're starting in the emotional sign of Cancer on the 9th. So the question becomes, how can we break free of our sense of emotional neediness and obligation, maybe to a parent, maybe to a spouse, maybe to a child? Those emotional relationships are so important, but when are they taking away our freedom and not allowing us to express who we truly are? And finding that balance is going to be really important this month. So take the next few days reflecting on those lessons in your life. Where have you seen these themes show up? And that way you can prepare for the new moon in Cancer and this next lunar cycle, and really ask yourself, what do you want to manifest this cycle? What do you want to bring into your life? And what do you want to let go of? And yeah, so that's an exciting thing to look forward to, our new moon on the 9th. But I will leave you with that reminder that this is a really big week for, the breakthrough regarding Saturn, Uranus, and this major aspect of 2021. So if you are just joining, head back to the beginning, listen to that again. There are some massive, massive lessons that are coming up for all of us this year. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next Friday, same time, same place. Bye.